there is another celebrity that's been making news this week and has found himself in the crosshairs of the government. And I am talking about UFC legend Conor McGregor. One of the most charismatic, outspoken, people in the UFC, which is the world of MMA, mixed martial arts. And he has now found himself a target of the state for what? For speaking out in support of his countrymen, for speaking out in support of mothers and children. That's what he's in trouble for. You can tell a lot about the state by how they prosecute crimes. How do they prosecute crimes from people against people? How well do they protect the people? Or how do they prosecute crimes against the state? That tells you everything you need to have, and that's exactly what we're seeing play out right now in Ireland. And the reason why this is important to you is because it's not just Ireland, it's the EU, it's Europe, and it's the United States. It's most of the developed world. It's also Canada. It's also Australia, and it's coming to a country near you. Now, what we saw, like I said, UFC legend Conor McGregor called Ireland to rally together and ensure that the stabbing of 3 young children and 2 adults last week is never repeated. That doesn't sound too bad. Sounds pretty good to me. The problem is that, the problem for Ireland is that the suspect is believed to be a foreign national. And there's a problem where most of Europe has a massive immigration problem happening all throughout Europe, sort of like what we see in the United States happening as well. About 8 million people have come across our border. That is not an inconsequential number. But all throughout the UK, through France, through England, and in Ireland, they have massive amounts of immigration. And there's fireworks. There's lots of, I hate to even say the different types of crimes because it's just so heinous to even say, but it's bad. And here we have immigrants, illegal immigrants potentially. I don't know the exact details of that. But when we have violence break out and the people are dying and the government doesn't do anything to protect the people. If you think about, go do your research. The role of the government is to protect the people. That's it. Let me just break this down for you philosophically. I wasn't planning on doing this, but check it out. Okay. You, as a human, you have a right to your life and property. Okay. I have a right to do that. I have a right to defend my life and my property. I do not condone. I don't believe anybody has a right to exert aggression towards somebody else. It's sort of like a libertarian non-aggression principle. But you have a right to defend yourself. All right. Now, collectively, if I'm under attack, me and my neighbor and I could join together to defend myself and my property. Maybe my neighborhood could join together to collectively protect our neighborhood, our property, and our life. Maybe as a city or a state or a country, we could collectively join together to protect our property and our lives. And that's exactly what the state is. Because I have the power to defend my life and my property, then collectively we can assign that right of protecting our lives and our property to groups such as the state. That is what the state has power to do. The state does not have power to exert power and control outside of that right, no more than I do. I can't just go say, I can do whatever I want. No, I can defend myself. That's what I have the right to project power on, and that is what goes to the state. So if you look at the founding of any nation, or the founding of the United States, the role of the United States government is to protect its citizens. Protect its citizens from, if you've sworn in on the Constitution, of enemies, both foreign and domestic. So they're supposed to secure the borders. They're supposed to defend us from invasion. 8 million people coming across the southern border is certainly not protecting us from invasion. That's in the United States. It's happening in other countries. That's what's happening in Ireland. Now, instead of protecting the citizens like they're supposed to, instead they attack the citizens. Instead of protecting the citizens of the United States and closing the border, who knows potentially how many terror cells could have come across the border? We have no idea. Instead of protecting us from that, they're attacking the citizens. Let's break it down. Conor McGregor, so he went to social media, he went to X, and he voiced his anger at the stabbings. Hey, everyone should be angry. He told his followers, quote, "We are not losing any more of our women and children to sick and twisted people who should not even be in Ireland in the first place." Oh, wow. The hate. That is so bad. As a matter of fact, I'm going to read the quote. Hopefully I won't get canceled for it. He said, "Isn't that something? The absolute picture of a weak and feeble. The most divisive of all is the weak man. Okay, so I'll break there. So the legacy media, the world, they want to tell you that toxic masculinity is a problem, that strong men are the problem. But as he's saying, as I would agree, you think strong men are dangerous? Wait till you see weak men. And that's what he says right here. He's saying that the most divisive of all is a weak man. You ever heard of the Napoleon complex? Right? The Napoleon complex is when you're a little weak man, you have to pretend like you're big and strong. If you're a big 6'4", 250-pound muscular bodybuilder, MMA, you're typically not trying to show that you're strong. It's like why guys that drive sports cars don't typically drive them very fast. Everyone already knows they're fast. And so you think strong men are dangerous. Wait till you see weak men, and that's exactly what he's saying here. He said, one of the most horrific crimes this nation has ever seen has occurred. We do not care anymore what you sad cases have got to say. In a war, you are nothing. We are not backing down. We are warming up. There will be no backing down until real change is implemented for the safety of our nation. Now, you would think the nation would get behind that message because isn't that the role of the nation? The safety of their people? That's what he's asking for. Until real change is implemented by the safety of our nation. Yes, the nation should be on board with that. He goes on to say, quote, we are not losing any more of our women and children to sick and twisted people who should not even be here in Ireland in the first place. That has now put him in the crosshairs, and he is now under investigation for a series of tweets saying that because of the stabbing, now he is sparking hate speech. And under a new law in Ireland, that's a crime. That's a crime. Now, in Ireland, there was massive riots, or not riots, but protests that happened, erupted. A bunch of people, looted and threw stones and rocks and whatever. Conor McGregor did actually say to not do that. He did not condone the violence. As a matter of fact, he said that it fixed nothing. He said that. So he actually spoke out against that. And then throughout Ireland, we've seen people starting to graffiti messages that say Irish lives matter, which now the police in Ireland are saying that is a hate crime. So by being pride of your nationality, of your country, that's a hate crime. This isn't like a race. This isn't saying like white lives matter, which they said was a hate crime during the BLM thing. This is Irish. This is so anybody that's in Ireland. If you've immigrated to Ireland, you went to Ireland because you want to be in Ireland. You should also be proud of Irish. So to say that Irish lives matter is a hate crime, I mean, it's just insane. This Algerian-born man lived in Ireland. He stabbed these people. Bystanders intervened. They ended up getting stabbed. It's a big deal. They should be doing something about it, in my opinion. And instead, again, the nation, which should be out there serving the interests of the people to protect their property, to protect their life. Maybe it's just the United States thing. Life, liberty, and happiness is what we're known, but it's actually life, liberty, and property was the original writing of that. And that's what the goal of the government is, to protect those things, not turn them into hate speech. But again, this is what's happening. Canada has been passing all new sweeping laws on what they consider hate speech. The United States has been passing new laws on what they consider hate speech. But the problem is, how do you define it? If you hate ice cream and I talk about ice cream, is that hate? It's a hate crime. You hate ice cream. And I know that sounds like a ridiculous statement, but that's where we're at.